All right, welcome back to The Hill on News Nation. President Biden is facing even more backlash on his response to Hawaii's devastating wildfires. The trip there did not seem to help. While speaking to survivors in Maui, the president compared the disaster to his minor house fire 15 years ago. Take a look.
And lightning struck at home on a little lake. It's outside of our home, not a lake, a big pond, and hit a wire and came up underneath our home into the heating ducts, the air conditioning duct. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, my '67 Corvette, and my cat. But all kidding aside.
To make a long story short, everything was also fine in President Biden's house.
Leland.
Go ahead.
In a moment of crisis and pain and suffering, there are those of us, when we do eulogies, for example, for loss, there are moments of levity where we celebrate the lives of others. Here, he was not trying to do that. I don't believe making light of losing your wife, and then added with the pet and the Corvette, means that he's insensitive. What do you mean none of which happened? The story he was telling. I'm just acting on what you
but the story that he told, though, about the house fire that happened was deemed by the fire department to be a quote-unquote insignificant fire that was out in 20 minutes.
He was trying to identify with their suffering, if only minimally. And I don't think it's fair for the media to take shots at him like that. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
What fair shots are there to take?
Well, his moment of levity, his reputation
what about falling
for
asleep?
Empathizing. What do you mean falling asleep?
During the ceremony,
sleep is necessary for all of us.
Okay.
Listen, to take your analogy a little further, if we're talking about a eulogy, you don't talk about yourself at somebody's funeral. That's exactly what this came across as. This is, listen, well, he failed massively. He should have stayed at home. He had one job, and that was to be the comforter in chief.
You won't criticize him for staying home.
Look, ask the people of Lahaina. Listen, let's not even bring our political biases to the table. Let's just ask the people of Lahaina, and I think they've made their statement really clear.
Well, there he was.
Why do you think he's sleeping there? He could be reading something. Look at him. He's just
because
still.
He's always sleeping.
No, he isn't. No, there he is. See, he's movement. There's movement. There's movement.
No, actually, that was the most defensible thing because his team screwed up. They could have taken him at any time, but he was coming, remember, from California. So this was the middle of the night for the president.
Right, he was tired.
A man who's 80 years old, right? Yeah. Like that. This is a huge screw up on the part of his team. They are really setting him up to fail because, I mean, even I, in the middle of the night, probably would have fallen asleep. But this is an older gentleman whose team really is falling asleep at the wheel. And I don't understand if that is intentional. I mean...
No, but this is a problem for Biden on the campaign trail. In 2020, he was able to campaign from his basement. Yeah. That was not the best statement. The White House mishandled this whole situation. There was like days of silence that passed. I mean, Hawaii is not Nebraska. I mean, this is a blue state. And we saw it even after Katrina. Biden took his time to get down there and stumbled in a Meet the Press interview. I remember because we wrote about the people who didn't go down there.
Vice president,
but he was running. He was running for president. So presidents have to go there. And I honestly, again, we go back to East Palestine. He should have gone to East Palestine.
He's never been yet.
Right.
And you know, this was such a miss on his part. Whenever you show up and talk about yourself, and it's so small in comparison, it's about ego, not empathy.
I just think it was about levity, and I also think that the scheduling piece, there's some situations. I've run a state party before. I've run business organizations. There's some scheduling issues that, in the end, you can't get around it. This is going to be a tough one.
Yeah. Right? Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.